Hi Adat, how are you?
And then you?
You able to hear me correctly?
Yeah, I can.
Great. I'm able to hear you, so that means the voice is all good.
Good. I'm just getting the Rahul on the call.
Great.
He's struck getting there.
Okay.
He's my co-speaker there.
Yeah, we had a call with him.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So let's wait for him to join in, and I will try to share my screen. Is it okay? Safe to share?
Yes, yes, of course. Use that desktop button to share and see if you are able to share.
Yeah, I'm able to share now.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. We're able to see.
Okay, and if I see that one, okay, if I click on that, then the video becomes smaller one there. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
So if you want to interact with the team, I mean with the viewers, you'll probably have to
Mhm.
look at the chat. Uh,
Oh, okay. Chat and then the event chat.
Session chat, not the event chat. Event is the entire event.
Oh,
So
okay.
you'll have to look at the session
Keep it
chat.
on the session chat. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
cool. Sure.
I'll take you through the drill very quickly. I was actually waiting
Mm.
for Rahul. Let Rahul also come, then I'll just tell you the drill,
Okay,
how we're
sure.
going to do this.
Sure. I'll just working. Okay, good. Yeah, I think Rahul is getting there. So let's see.
I think Rahul is.
Yes,
Hey,
I'm
Rahul.
here. Hey, Alat. Hey, Gagan. Good to see
Hi.
you.
Same here, same here. So we are ready to go. We'll start. Okay, already people have started joining in. So I'll take you through the quick drill. 1 hour long session, 45 minutes for you to complete the session. We'll keep 10-15 minutes for Q&A. And if you want to do Q&A within the session, you are welcome to do that. As I said, you have to look at the chart. So there are two charts. One is event chart, one is session chart. Do watch session chart for any Q&A, or if you want any response from the viewers. Don't look at the event chart. That is the entire.
Okay.
Other
Okay.
than that, your screen, so there is no issues there, and that's it. Start chatting with.
I'm not sure if it is my network or.
No, even I'm getting a network issue with Gagan. Yeah.
Oh, so.
So welcome Rahul and welcome Alat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jay.
Jay.
Hi.
Good to see you.
So the network is fine?
Yeah.
Network is fine right now.
Uh,
Yeah. We lost
I
Gagan in
think
between.
Gagan.
Yeah,
Yeah, we lost Gagan.
is it better now?
Yeah, much better.
All right,
Yeah.
so without any further delay, I think we should start on time. So to all the viewers, we have Rahul and Alat joining as our speakers, and I would let you to tell more about yourself and then start the session. Over to you guys.
Good.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Just
Good
a
evening.
second. Is it Ajay who is doing the intro, or we are doing?
I am. What we thought is we would not be able to do justice with your intro. Both
Oh,
of you.
okay.
We'll let you speak about yourself.
Okay. Okay.
That will be
Okay.
better.
Let's. Yeah. So let's be agile. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So Alat, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. This is Allad, and with me is Rahul. We'll be taking you through today with measuring success of an agile transformation. So before we jump there, let's have some introduction of Rahul here. So Rahul is my close colleague and close friend. He's passionate about four things: music, workout, people, and agile. And he has been working with Think Agile, which is one of the most innovative companies when it comes to a company culture. And that's where he's working as an agile coach and trainer there. And his superpower is around his passion and his ability to make quick friends. And not only that is his hobby also, but he has got in deep passion about music. So he has played vocalist, guitarist role in his band, and he has been like nominated and awarded best vocalist in South Africa as well. One of the vocalist.
I
Right.
didn't mention that, you know.
And yeah, and he has been writing lyrics and composing songs as well. So that's Rahul with me.
Okay, thanks, Alad. Yeah, thanks for adding a lot of things which I didn't plan for. Okay. I would like to introduce Alhad. So I know Alhad for last almost, I think it's almost 9 or 10 years.
Yeah.
In between, we worked for different organizations, and then like few years back, Alhad came to South Africa. He was in South Africa, and we used to work for the same bank initially, and then our path got changed, and he worked for different other organizations, and then so now now he is here in Johannesburg. So Alhad is an agile coach and working for one of the big five. So one of the big five banks. So when we talk about South Africa, so it's all about big five because we have big five animals and then big five banks as well. For their agile transformation. It's a huge bank of around 30,000 people, 30,000 odd people. And he's active member in agile groups and community in South Africa as well as India. He's firm believer of agile as a culture. He keeps sharing his experience, stories in meetups, conferences across South Africa and India. So that's about Alhad. And now next 1 hour we'll be spending with each other. And see, let's start with a song. Definitely after the session, definitely. Yeah, so I think Alhad, you can take
Yeah,
it
cool.
on.
Okay. So basically for our session, we are looking at based on our experience, based on the stories which we had. We thought of, okay, what is that agile transformation looks like and what is the success criteria of that agile transformation can be. So we had some brainstorming, we had good experiences around those transformations, and we thought of, okay, what is that we can present to the community back? And that's where we came up with this topic. And yeah, here we are. So before we jump into what is agile transformation and what are the success criteria, we just wanted to know from you as a participants, when you look at the transformation or when you thought or think about transformation, what are the different definitions which comes to your mind? What is agile transformation? So what you can do is you can take a QR code, scan it, and there are 3 text boxes which will come for you, wherein you can start putting in your answers, or you can go to the menti.com, put in the code which is listed out on the slide, and we'll see the results here. So let's put for 1 minute and see what is the transformation definition looks like for you. Hope everybody is getting that code there. Okay. Okay, the refresh was a little slow there.
I think that's incredible because we are getting a lot of diversity when it comes to the definition of
Okay, so
agile transformation.
reading change in mindset, behavioral change, self-organizing teams, business value, happy employees. Okay, it's time up though. So we'll move on. So having got all those insights there, which talks about faster time to market, successful team, delivery on time, agile implementation, self-organizing teams. I think inputs will be coming in, but let's look at what is the real definition of agile transformation looks like.
Yes. So for us, in our experience, what we have learned is, so an agile journey. So basically, what is an agile transformation? So it's an agile journey that starts when it becomes absolutely necessary to be agile, and it never ends. So in your experience, I mean, if you remember, you might have heard that, or maybe in your organizations, that this organization start their agile journey in or agile transformation journey in 2011. This organization started their agile journey in maybe 2016, 2019. But have you ever heard that this organization is now done with their agile transformation journey? Maybe not. Maybe not, because in my experience, I've never seen that, or never even heard that an organization they are done with their agile transformation journey. So it never ends. Basically, it never ends, and it should not. It should not end, right? Yeah. So that's what an agile transformation is for us. What we have learned till now. Okay, Alhad, over to you. Yes, so this is a model which is very close to my heart. That is the agile spine model. So basically, we can apply this model to various things, and or even the various scenarios. And when it comes to the agile transformation, then also it's a great model to apply. So like whenever we are looking at that, okay, we want to be agile, right? So where to start our journey? And our journey should not start with the tools. So we need to know that what is our need, why we want to be agile. And I mean, if we are thinking of being agile, then it's important that everyone understand the need. Then after that comes to values and principles, and then practices, and then tools. So no tool is going to make us agile, right? So what we'll do is, in the next next 40 minutes, we will deep dive into those characteristics of how we use this agile spine model when it comes to the agile transformation. Alhad, you can take it on.
Yep. Cool. So having understood that spine model at very high level, let's now try to see, okay, what are the needs you have seen in your current agile journey or agile transformation, if you want to call it. So again, we got Mentimeter there, we got code 7510070, and you can then say, okay, what is that you have seen as a need? What are the needs which you have seen for your agile transformation? So again, I will time box that one for 1 minute. Yeah. So what we are seeing is, yeah, Rahul, go ahead.
No, after you.
I'm just reading on the text there, which is coming in, and interesting, like team collaboration, becoming customer centric, customer needs, common goal, being agile, quality, okay.
Faster time to market.
Faster time to market, culture change,
Mindset.
okay, looks like time up there.
Quality.
Quality.
I
Okay,
think
value creation and few other points which are coming in. So these are really nice, and yeah.
Some nice wisdom is coming from everyone who has joined this session.
Yeah. So real-time insights which are coming in based on what they have experiencing on the grounds. So that's really nice.
Value creation.
But having value creation. Okay, cool. I think that's really nice insights which are there. But having looked at it, let's see what else we are still missing, or what else we haven't looked at it as a needs from our own customers, right? So let's look at one of the report which generally every year version 1 releases State of Agile report, and 14th one was the latest and the hot from the press kind of a report which we have seen. And what it talks about is customers are looking at the success based on what is the customer or the user satisfaction which is there, what is the business value which we are getting delivered when we look around agile projects or agile execution, on-time delivery. I think here even audience has looked around that on-time delivery, quality, the business objectives achieved. So it's more of objective which are getting measured there. Productivity increase. I think that's where many organizations look around and say, okay, how do we increase the productivity? And they go for agile because it's high in productivity rather than waterfall way of working. Organizational and cultural change, process improvement, predictability, maybe project visibility, or even product scope, right? So that's where these are the different areas in which they have seen what is the need. I mean, basically this translates into the need which the organizations might have seen or might have seen it actually, which actually then translates into, okay, is that really a need, and how do we translate that need, and how do we measure that need? Okay, so is there any different ways in which that need can be done? Okay, looked at it. So what we think is, apart from those needs which we looked at in the previous slide, and also the few needs which you have listed out, have you gone ahead as an organization, as a leadership team, and to looked around and said, okay, are then those needs really being discussed across the layers, or is it only sitting with only few people like product owners, or maybe with say design thinkers who are there and they are just taking those needs, but in between that is getting lost, right? So how do we translate that particular need into what we are actually going to do and what is that we are actually going to achieve, right? And that's where in that case what we are looking at is, are the organizations in organizational leaders and the teams and the product owners, maybe the front facing teams within the organizations, are they all aligned, and are they understanding the same needs which probably your customer is looking for? So that is something which is very important as organization when we want to start our agile journey. What is that we are really trying to address here? Whether it's a pain area, is it going to be a maybe a exciter for your team or exciter for your end customers in terms of the products and few other things. So understanding that need is really, really important. Yeah, Rahul.
Yeah. Just from experience, because we when we talk about different organizations, we know we have service based organizations, and then we have product based organizations. And then what happens is, a lot of organizations, I mean, their need is just that they just want their clients to be happy, right? So ultimately, even that need is also there when it comes to the customer. So a lot of people think that their end customer is the client for whom they are working. So, like for example, if I have an IT, if I'm working in an IT organization, and then we are providing our services to a bank, then that bank is still not our end customer. So if we want to be agile, we need to be agile for the end user of the products. And that's where I mean, a lot of discussions happens. Okay, I mean, project versus products. So it's like, ultimately, if someone will be using it, it is a product, right? If someone will be using it, it's a product. So that's why we are working for our end customer who will be using the product. So that's why, if we want to be agile, are we aligned on what is our need? So that alignment is very important within an organization across all the layers, as Alhad said.
Yep, cool. And also, like just to add to what Rahul said, understanding those customer need is an art, I would say. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of experience also, and a lot of experimentation as well to see, okay, what is that we want to really address and how we want to address it. Okay, so that's where, and for that we need to probably understand what are the value journeys or the customer journeys looks like for a given organizations or for the given products. So that's something which is really a good insight which we should be looking at.
Yeah.
Moving on. Yeah, Rahul.
Yes.
You want to take this?
Exactly. So this is something which is close to our heart, which is like values and principles. So like, can we really measure values and principles? Like, are we abiding to those values and principles or not? Maybe not. But what we can do is at least we can look at what are our company values, and maybe I would like to type if you remember your company values. If you remember your company values, would you like to write in the chat? Anyone? Yeah, thanks. So courage, customer centric, first class business, being caring, openness, trust, customer centricity, integrity, quality, empowerment, doing customer focus and commitment to results. Yeah, I think a lot of wisdom is coming from everyone. Yeah. So now, when it comes to value, we all come from a different background and we all have different value system, right? So it is very important that we are aligned with those company values and principles, right? So we all need to know that what are our company values, because I remember when I used to work for a digital media company, uh, when it was asked from a few of our team members that, okay, I mean, what are the values of our company? And it was like, we have seen it somewhere on the wall, but we don't remember it. So that's where that alignment needs to come, that are we aware of company values? So values is something that that defines us, like what we are from individual point of view, and then what we are as a company. Okay. And then principles are like how we are going to showcase these values, right? So basically, our company values and principles, do we know on what principles, on what values we want to work? And do we have our team values and principles? And are those values and principles aligned or not? Because that alignment is very important. Otherwise there will be a problem in, like, our value system is different as a team than the value system of the whole organization or the company. So that's why it's a very important, that's where we do a lot of exercises when we do our team liftoffs, or some people call them, I don't know, sprint zero, I have heard, but I don't believe in sprint zero, because if there is a sprint, then there is a potentially shippable working software. And if there is no working software which is potentially shippable after a sprint, it's not a sprint. So I don't like that word. But in teams liftoff, so that's where we do the team value creation and on what principles team will be working on. And once that alignment is there, then how frequently we update it? Because if we created it 3 years back, now people have changed. I mean, a lot of people came and go, and they went. So is it updated recently? Are we still sure that no, these are our values as a team and as a company? So yeah, so that alignment is important. That's how we can at least make sure that we know on what values and principles we work together as a team and as an organization.
Awesome, Rahul. And I think if we see if those values and principles match, then the magic starts happening. And if magic starts happening, what we see is a business outcome which starts happening, right? So what are the outcomes which happens and how do we measure it? So definitely one is like the software which is being delivered. So that's something which your customers are going to use it. But are they really going to use it the way they want to use it, or they have perceived it? So definitely one of the aspect could be, can we use OKRs, which is your objective key results? So not only at the team level, but also at the organization level, when we define the strategies, when we define, okay, these are the different initiatives which are going to run, and these are like high priority initiatives which are there. How do we actually measure them? Is it not just the time, cost, and quality, but the outcome of it? How do we see them impacting the actual customer? And how do we effectively and probably, I would say, more of a proactively measure them? So OKRs is one of the tool, one of the technique wherein we can use it. Other which I see important is net promoter score. So again, it is kind of a, I would say, more of a lagging indicator in few terms, but still it gives a good indication for our product around, is our customer really happy with the services and the product which are being offered? So that is something which is really good NPS score which can be used. Okay.
Yeah.
Another one is whenever we form the goals, are those smart goals, right? But traditionally we used to call it like smart goals. Now we are saying, I'm here. We are saying like, is it going to be a smarter goal? So SMART stands for your specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And the last ER stands for now, evaluate and readjust. That means given the situations wherein we are living in the digital world, wherein conditions change very often, how do we quickly make sure that whatever the goals we have set for ourselves or for our products, how do we evaluate at a frequent level, and how do we readjust it so that it gives good economic of scales, as well as it gives good strategy alignment in terms of what is really happening in the ground. So that is something which is really important. The goals should be more smarter. And then whenever possible, and as far as possible, I would say all our measuring out the business outcome measurement should be leading indicators rather than the lagging indicators. And to have those leading indicators, not only your business teams, the marketing team, the front-facing teams should be aware of what is happening with the product. But I will also say, like, even the teams who are coding for it, they need to understand where that product is actually going to be used and how they are going to use it, so that they can build in that kind of dashboards, that kind of indicators into the system itself, so that on a regular basis, on time-to-time basis, we can see, okay, what is how the customer is using my application, which screen he's clicking through, which probably the feature of the application or that particular product is being used more often. If I want to probably offer a new features or the new products, and if I list it out on my one page wherein they can see through, they can click through, then I know exactly based on the click rate which product they will be more interested in, so that I can, with my business team, work on it and say, okay, my next feature is going to be digital credit cards rather than just a physical credit card. So that is something which we need to always think about, and we need to start looking around and say, okay, OKRs, NPS, smarter goals, and then leading indicators. How do we incorporate it as part of our thinking process?
Allah, there is a
We
question.
have,
Allah, there is a question
okay,
for you. Isn't
okay,
leading indicators part of OKRs?
they can be, definitely they can be part of your OKRs. And OKRs, I mean, leading indicators will then help us to see, okay, OKRs, can those be really be met? Are we going in the right track or no? So yes, those can be part of your OKRs as well. Okay. So that's about measuring the business outcome based on few key indicators there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just moving on to the next slide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is measuring practices, Rahul.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically, if you see, are frameworks important for us? I mean, what framework we are using? Are we using Scrum? Are we using Kanban? I mean, as a process, or are we using any other framework like SAFe? Or does it really matter? Uh, Maybe not. Because what matters is the practices that we are doing. So first thing is, irrespective of whichever framework you are using or whatever you are calling those, but practices are important. And the first point, so basically when you are trying to build a product, when you think that, okay, I mean, we need to build a product, then the first thing that we start with a vision. What is our vision, right? So for example, if we make an application, if we want to create an application for home loan department, so then we need to see that what is our vision. What are we selling? Are we selling money? Are we selling loans? Probably not, because the reason is, I mean, it doesn't happen that someone maybe in the morning, one morning, someone will wake up and see that, oh, it's a beautiful morning, I mean, nice sunny day, let me take some debt. It doesn't happen, right? So what we do, we are not into business. If we take example of home loan, we are not in the business of uh, like giving just money. Maybe we are enabling people to fulfill their dreams earlier than they can. So so if someone has a dream to own a house, so basically we are enabling people to fulfill their dream now by taking our loan, by taking loan from us. So that's where vision is important whenever we are trying to build any product. So are we doing visioning exercises or not? There are various ways of doing visioning exercises. It really doesn't matter. Whichever works for us, we can use that. Okay. Once we know that what is our vision, how are we creating our roadmap? I mean, are we using user story mapping? Are we using mind mapping? It really doesn't matter. There are various ways of doing it. And when we create roadmap, we also do the prioritization techniques, right? And basically, if you see, I mean, even there is a book with the name 20 prioritization techniques. And guess what it contains? It contains 20 prioritization techniques, right? But those are not the only ones. So do we need to use all of them to create our roadmap, to have an MVP and then the further releases? Maybe not. So use one which works for us, and then that's how we create our roadmap. Then we need to know that how we are going to release various functionalities during our product, right? So we need to do, and there are various ways of doing it. So we just need to make sure that are we doing it? Do we know what it is? Are we doing it? And if we are doing it, then how we are doing it, right? The next one is, Alhat, can you, yeah, the planning and feedback loops. So basically, whichever framework we are using, all these frameworks are based on the empirical process, the empiricism, right? So we, what is important for us? Our experience and our observations, right? And we want to improve empirically, right? So are we doing our planning as this empirical process? Are we doing planning empirically? Are we using feedback loops to improve, to inspect and adapt? If we are doing that, that's perfect. It is not important that which framework, which process we are using. But if we are using empiricism to improve our product, to improve our process, that's a happy thing, right? And then when we are doing planning and feedback loops, how we are doing our daily alignments, because we have to inspect and adapt daily. So are we doing that? Whatever we call them, it really doesn't matter. But if you see, everything feeds into each other, right? So if I mean, so visioning feeds into roadmap, feeds into release planning exercises, then feed into planning and feedback loops, whether we are doing using iterations, sprints, whatever it is, and then daily alignments, right? And then from daily alignments, everything feeds back into the visioning, right? So that alignment is very important. Backlog refinement, it's basically, I feel, in my experience, it's very important, uh, whichever framework or whichever process we are using, because ultimately, why we do it for three things, right? The three C's. And the three C's are the card, conversations, and confirmation, right? So now we are no more using the physical cards, but we are using cards on different tools. Conversations are the most important part of the backlog refinement, right? So where we come to, we come on the same page, we come on the same understanding that what needs to be done and how are we going to resolve a problem, right? And then the confirmation, which is like what will be the kind of acceptance criteria, in what conditions we will say that what is the success criteria of this particular work item, right? And then the one thing that I've seen is team level agility is very important when scaling. So what happens is uh, it becomes a motive of people when people say that, okay, we basically we want to implement safe, okay, and then please remember, safe implementation is not our main business. And then what happens is I have seen team level agility and leadership agility, this like somewhere they just get hidden in between that safe, like any implementation. So whenever you are scaling, please make sure that team level agility still remain there. It should not become our goal to just implement a framework. Okay. Yeah, Alat. Alhad, you are not audible, and you can proceed. Okay, so it looks like Alhad is facing some problem. So maybe let me share my screen and let's see. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. All right. Can please tell me if you are if you are able to see my screen? Yes, even I can. Okay, perfect. Let's give maybe 30 seconds to Allah to join back so that he doesn't miss anything. Network, the whole world is using internet. I mean, we are surviving over internet, so that's why sometimes it happens. Maybe while he joins us back, and he is here. Remember the devil, and devil is here.
Sorry, there was a problem with screen sharing. Sorry about that, and I lost the connection in between.
Okay, so I am sharing my screen now, Alhad. So
no worries.
Yeah.
I can take it from there.
So
okay.
Yes.
Cool. So the next aspect which we thought of is very important is the DevOps part of it, right? There are different definitions which are there, or which might be coming in everybody's mind around, okay, what is that DevOps looks like, right? But for us, it is more around having the customer-centric actions, which is important. Because if we keep, or if we do all the actions within our purview of software development or even non-software development, when we are using Agile, if we keep the customer at the center, I think that's where all the needs, the pain, the exciters, delighters, and all the other aspects of the customer journey and customer satisfaction comes into picture. So that's where how do we see entire thing happening around the customer, and how do we involve him into the overall process of software development? That is important. So that's what, like we are saying, it's more around customer centric action. The next point will be around how do we get the end in the mind. So how do we create what is really required, right? Not something which is may not be required, right? As Rahul was pointing out, when we are looking at the backlog refinement, we need to always make sure that it aligns to the vision, it aligns to the roadmap, and then it aligns to the prioritization technique as well, or the priority as well. So how do we create with that end in the mind and say, okay, what is that is really needed now? And only work on that piece of work so that we don't create a waste in the system. The next part is we are come a long journey during the process. I mean, Agile is already 20 years old, kind of, when the manifesto was done. And we have come a long way wherein we are saying now, we don't want to create silos, rather it should be more of a end-to-end team, or rather a team should be more of a cross-functional team, taking the ownership of everything which they develop. Not only develop, but also to maintain the same piece of work. So if that is the case, then we need to make sure that we take the end-to-end ownership as a team. And this is like irrespective of whether it's a small team or we are scaling or we are not scaling as well, right? So that should be your end goal, which we'll talk about. What is your end-to-end responsibility looks like, and within the team, then you need to use different practices, maybe extreme programming practices, which will say, okay, if one person is writing the code, what is the peer review happening? What is the peer code or the pair programming which is happening, so that everybody within the team or two people at least knows the same code. Rahul, you want to add something there?
Yeah, just one observation from experience. So basically, when we have this end-to-end responsibility, when we know that if we are building this product, we are the people who will be supporting it, then we are going to make sure that if there is a live issue in this product, then we are the people who will be awake at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. at night. So it changes the behavior as well. So right, because you know that someone from the team will be awake if there is a problem. So guys, let's make sure that the product is good quality, because a lot many times what used to happen, there is a deadline and we have to achieve it. You know what, there is a defect, leave it, let it go. When like we will handle it in the when the maintenance will come, or maybe if there will be a live defect, we will solve the problem, or it will go to our operations team, and then level 1 support, level 2 support. So a lot of wrong behaviors used to be driven when there was no end-to-end responsibility. So yeah, so that's something that I wanted to share.
Yeah, that's a really valid point, and I think we have seen in our journey like that happening, just because we want to keep the BAU and keep the lights on kind of an environment also running. So people used to do certain things, right? I mean, that happens in organizations.
Yeah, and BAU is business as usual.
Yeah.
If someone is,
The next one is to support all these aspects, we need to definitely create a team which is cross-functional autonomous team. In that sense, we need to then create a team wherein each team member is kind of T-shaped skill resource, or the T-shaped skill member within the team, which will then talk about people. Sorry. So basically that will then talk about if I'm good at one technology or the one expertise area, how can I still create a horizontal area wherein I can be contributing there. If one of the team member is not there, or probably he's facing challenge, how can I contribute there? So that is something which we need to think about, and that should be a plan when we go into the agile transformation journey. So moving from the I-shaped resource to T-shape, and then probably if you're maturing, then it will be more around E-shape as well. You never know, like E-shape will be much more supportive, much more I would say like much more productive in that sense, wherein they are able to support everything, whatever is in umbrella of that particular product development. Okay, so that's your cross-functional autonomous teams, which is important. And then definitely, if you are looking at all these different aspects, how do you continuously keep improving? And to continuously improve, we need to measure also, right? Because without measurement, we can't improve. And these are the different, there are different aspects which are there, which you can see on the slide. And definitely we have taken that model from DASA. And there is a DevOps model which talks about how do we actually measure what are the different aspects which are there within the DevOps framework. And then how do we improve on each of them, probably at regular intervals. So that's where we can then actually see what is a continuous improvement happening. So whenever we talk about Agile, we always talk about empirical process, and that is something which will help us to see what is the empirical data talks about and where we want to really improve on. And the last thing which is there is automate everything you can, because if you see, as per lean principle, if you are spending a lot of effort in doing manual work, which is kind of repetitive in nature, like code reviews, maybe testing, manual testing, and in Scrum,
unit
unit
testing,
testing kind of
CI/CD.
Yeah. CI/CD. So definitely that's where we need to keep focusing there. And if we don't have that expertise now, or we don't have considered that, how do we continuously improve on it to make sure that automation increases in every area, whether it's integration, deployment, or even into your testing area? How do we increase it, automation levels, every iteration or every release wise, and then keep getting the benefit out of it so that your time to market starts reducing it, and that becomes much more sustainable. So that's something which we can measure around DevOps. And these are the different elements which we can think about depending on what is the maturity level of the team and the processes, and then the different aspect of your product lifecycle looks like.
Yeah. And the next one I would like to highlight is like Agile HR. And that's why I was again and again stopping Alhad when said resources, because people are people. People are not resources. So, and we do this to each other. So whenever one of us will use this name resources, then we stop each other. So, and it takes time. It takes time to get rid of this habit. So if you mean people, say people, not resources. This is something that we took from our local community success Scrum user group of South Africa. Hire for attitude and value match. Are we doing iterative and incremental performance coaching, not management? It's itself a big topic that we can discuss. I mean, and maybe in some open space, or maybe in question and answers if it comes. But are we doing iterative and incremental performance coaching, not the management? Performance management. Are we paying fair salaries? Because if we are not, we are always at the risk of losing people, right? So are we paying fair salaries? Avoid toxic individual bonuses and awards. Okay, I have a great story. I used to work for a bank, and that bank had a so if you get the highest achiever award, you get a Euro trip, and like around, if I talk in INR, around 500,000 INR, so 5 lakh INR to spend on if you get that award. Now, to achieve that award, what you have to do is you have to make sure that you remain here, right, at the top, and you have to make sure that other people, they are nowhere closer to you. So now what we are doing is we are creating an environment of competition rather than an environment of collaboration. So that's why we should avoid these toxic individual bonuses and awards. Enabling the mastery path. Are we trying to enable that mastery path for our people, so where they can learn and they can grow in the technology, or in whatever they are doing, or whatever they are passionate about, right? This is an Agile HR manifesto. I mean, you can search on Google. It's very interesting. So we just mentioned it. You can search and read about it more. Yes, Alad.
Yeah, and the previous slide, Rahul, I think team participants were asking about what is HC stands for. And
so
since we didn't want it to call,
yeah.
Go ahead, Rahul.
So sorry, I missed that. So if we don't want to call them human resources, then they are what are people? I mean, in our organization, I think they are capital, right? So that's why to call them resources? Why not capital? So maybe we need to change our department names from HR department to maybe HC department, right? So human capital department. Now people will say, oh, it's difficult, and I would still say it is difficult, but it is not impossible, right? And if it is not impossible, let's try it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's where the power of team members and the people lies, wherein we create that capital and we create that synergy within the organizations. Okay, so having looked at all these different aspects of DevOps, the human capital, the vision part of it, right? What is important is how do we then create organizational agility? Because agility cannot be restricted only for, say, IT department. And when we talk about products and when we talk about the customer journeys, all different departments are also involved. Those departments can be your marketing team, it could be like legal teams, it could be compliance, regulatory, because if I talk about my experience here, it's more of a regulatory requirement or regulatory environment which is there through which we need to develop and launch those products. So how do we involve all those people together within our journey is important, and that's where we need to see what are the things which are there, what is their MVP looks like. So even in our journey, we talked about for these people, like marketing, even for legal, even for the change management people, what we talk about is they came up with long list of checklists saying, okay, you need to be compliant with all these 100 parameters, then only you can launch your product in or put it on the production. What we talked about with those teams are, can we make your regulatory compliance list as a part of your MVP, right? So not everything may be required now, but what is that is minimal requirement which we should adhere to as a team, so that when we launch our products, that is meeting those requirements, and then later on we can build on top of it. Because only one or two features are not going to be there with probably all the customers. It is with the restricted user group. So what is that list will look like? So we need to involve all these people together in our journey. And what we have seen is, by involving these people, we could reduce a lot of time in terms of our feature cycle time or the feature throughput time. And at the same time, when we look around the budgeting part of it, which is key element, because traditionally the organization has been big. We have been always working with the project mindset. We come up with a project idea, then okay, you get a budget, and that budget, once it is approved, which itself will take probably 3 to 4 months. Once it is approved, you will take another 2 to 3 months to get human people or the people on board. So you're essentially losing 5 to 6 months just to get that project started, right? Or that idea started. So how do we move around from that particular concept to say, okay, it is more around customer journey or more around the value streams? And what are those different value streams which are there in the organization? How do we then collaborate between these different teams and then form what is really required for that silos to be broken down and then work effectively? So your budget has been then moved away from your projects to now more of a value stream, though it is a transition and long journey to happen, because there is a financial involved, there is a your balance sheet which needs to be then approved from your stakeholders perspective or the shareholder perspective. All those aspects needs to be considered. But yeah, that journey is happening, and we need to slowly and steadily start moving from, say, project mindset to more of a product and customer journey perspective, and say, okay, what is my budget will look like? And it will be more for, and to help that, we need to then transform our PMO departments, traditional PMO departments, to more towards your lean portfolio management department. Okay, so I would call it like more of a function rather than a department, which will then exist across all these different value streams rather than sitting in a silo. But yeah, these are the different things which can help us to get that organizational agility. Though we haven't included all the other departments which might have been there in other organizations, but this is like based on our experience. These are like few which played a critical role in making sure that our agility improves in these different silos as well.
So in our experience, Agile is not a destination. It is a journey, and it never ends, and it should never end, right? Ownership of this empirical journey remains with the whole organization, starting from the top leadership. So I remember one quote from SAFE that I think it was Peter Drucker. So it's like it was, if you can't come, send no one.
Yeah.
So if you can't come, send no one. So if as a leader you can't be on this journey, then rather please do not try to be agile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks for your time. And now I think we can spend maybe around 8 to 10 minutes in some discussions. Yeah, so let me go back to my, okay, let's start from, Okay, goals.
Rahul, I have a couple of questions collated if you want me to go through it.
Yes, please. Yes, Gagan, please. That would help.
Okay, so starting from the first few questions. So one is, how are practices different from the processes defined in the framework?
Okay. So if we see, so like Kanban, so Kanban itself is a process. It's not a framework, right? So now there are different practices that we do. So what we do is, so there is no major difference if we see, but if you see, so all these practices are used in different frameworks or different processes with the different names, right? So like for example, safe use, what's that, inspect and adapt, I think.
Inspect and
uh,
adapt. Yeah.
Inspect and adapt, right? And what is that? So like basically review and retrospectives, right? I think retrospective. So it really doesn't matter that what name we are using. If we are using any, and that's why we said that feedback loops. So whether we call it retrospective or any other fancy word from the dictionary, it doesn't matter. If we are doing that feedback loop, it's perfect.
Makes sense. So next question is, thinking about the lens, thinking through the lens of satire change model, are there any metrics applicable to the phases to assess the success? Not sure if we yeah, go ahead.
So I'm not aware of that
Satire change.
that
Satire.
attire change,
Yeah.
yeah. But what I would say is, so when actually we were doing this presentation, I also spoke to Allah that, Allah, I don't like that, like you are level 1 agile, you are level 2, level 3, there are different models. So I don't like, because no one like to be on that, no, we are level 3, so it's like we are not doing CMMI, right? So where agility is, so where CMMI level stops, so the top, so like CMMI level 5 says continuous improvement, and that's where the agility starts, right? So that's why, uh, so I would say yes or no. So these are a few aspects that we covered from our experience. If you're doing it or not doing it. For example, visioning. If we are creating products, if we are not I mean, if we don't have a vision, if we are not doing visioning exercises, then no matter we call ourselves like, no, we are level 3, we are level 2 agile, but we are not. And also, it's not about these practices, just these practices, what happens. So for example, daily alignment sessions, it's not about like going 15 minutes and talking about something or giving like three things. It's about that, I mean, what is happening there, are we getting value out of it?
Sure.
So that's why I'm not, yeah, I'm not too, I mean, I'm not too fan of these models which actually come up with that you are level 2 agile, level 3 agile, but it's like either yes or no.
Yeah.
So Alhad,
Just
you wanted to?
Yep. Just to add there, I think I'm just looking at, yeah, Toby, that's where you posted that question, look, which I can see. And your satire model generally talks about what is the resistance which is there versus what is the chaos is going to form versus what is your new status quo will look like. So it's more around what is the change, what is the resistance, and what is the new level will look like. And I think whatever the metrics which we talked about, I think those will be applicable to any of these phases. But I would say, like, whenever the change is introduced, it will go through all these different phases as well. So for example, if we introduce DevOps, definitely there will be resistance. There will be a new chaos happening because your estimation, your sizing will go for a toss because you need to do a lot of other things to make sure DevOps works. And then once that starts happening and that's giving the results, then you will see, okay, there is a new status quo which is going to happen. So it is more of a habit which will be there with your team. So I think just to answer in the blind hindsight in terms of not knowing that model very well, I would say like it will be applicable to each and every parameter which we discuss. Yeah.
Okay. I think we can take one more question. There is,
Yeah.
can the team also think about auto healing using monitoring and correction, as that's what it's required for most of the apps these days?
Yeah, okay, I will take that one. I think yes, definitely. If we are moving towards that, and if your technological stack helps us to do that, I think definitely we should be looking around self-healing kind of applications, which will say, if something is going wrong, how can I self-heal, right? So there will be like patches and a few other things which are readily available in my production environment, and I can start applying it depending on what is going wrong. And I have seen, like, I have worked in an environment wherein though there were early warnings as well, saying, okay, this is going to fail in the process within next 1 week or so, and then that patch was actually getting applied. So that also is possible. So we should target for that, I would say.
Great. I think we can take one last question. It's coming twice. Briefly say in a single sentence how to measure the success of Agile transformation. Not sure it can be contained in one sentence though.
So that's what actually I was busy writing. So that's why I said that it's like, so these are, so how can we measure success of an agile transformation? Okay, we can only say once this transformation is done, right? Right, because either it's done or it's not done. Right? Is it ever done? Maybe not. What we can do is during that journey, we can see, are we doing this? Are we doing this? And what we are doing is, so these are the practices or different things that we are doing. But I mean, the impact, what is the impact of it? If we are not doing it, maybe then we need to do it. So instead of like after 6 months identifying that, okay, whether we are, I mean, how successful we are. I mean, how can we measure success of something which is not going to end? How can we measure in 6 months or 1 year? I mean, that's where I struggle, and I may be wrong because it's like I have a limited experience. But what I have learned and what I have realized is that I mean, measuring success is actually very difficult. And I would say, I mean, create your own metrics. These are just a few helpers, few points that you can take and create your own and share with people.
Yep.
Thank you, Rahul and Anand, for this wonderful session and presentation. We got a lot of good feedback around this. People are already asking for slides, but I would suggest hold on to that thought. This entire recorded sessions, will be shared with you later. Yes, sir.
Gagan, do we have 1 minute?
Other sessions are already started. Plus, still go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, please.
No. Sorry, just okay. 30 seconds. Having external consultants to drive the agile transformation would help. My experience is it helps. The reason is because those people can be dead honest because they don't have a fear of losing their jobs. That's it.
Totally second that thought. And
Okay.
Thanks a lot again for this wonderful session, Rahul and Anand. It's been great having you here, and I hope everyone enjoyed. Please share please do vote on the polls for the feedback, and song probably maybe next time Rahul will sing for us.
I'm so sorry.
Or maybe in the networking session.
Yeah, in networking session. For sure.
Session, yes, great. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you everyone for participating and asking those powerful questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, because it's the most precious thing that we can give to each other. So
yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
Yeah, thanks Gagan. Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Thanks again. Thank you.